If you look purely at the statistics, the climbs in the Flanders region of Belgium are not hard. And yet they are very hard. Brutal, in fact.
Why? Because of these cobblestones. Now, you won't see lightweight climbers flying up these in the Tour of Flanders. No, you'll see big bruisers muscling their way up, fighting with their bikes.
Today, though, there will be two middle-aged men grinding up them rather slowly as we seek out the top 5 toughest cobbled climbs in the Flanders region.
Straight onto our list at number 5 is this, the Potterburg. It didn't quite used to be as pivotal as it is these days in the Tour of Flanders, as it used to come with around 80 kilometers to go. But nowadays, it's the final climb, coming just after the older Quadrant, and it can be decisive. Of course, it's also covered on 3 occasions. It's now the maker or the breaker of dreams.
Yeah, there's no dilly-dallying about with the Potterburg, is it? You come screaming at warp speed down that sinuous asphalt descent, speed which you then have to scrub off as you take a 90-degree right-hand turn into this, and then it hits you like a brick. You are immediately into a 10% cobbled climb.
A brick or a cobble, Dan.
That's true, very true, Matt.
And that is as good as it gets. This is one of those climbs that can be soul destroying because you can see the top not far from the bottom of the climb. It may be only 360 meters long, but the gradient averages just under a whopping 13%.
There are 2 small consolations here on the Potterburg. Firstly, the cobblestones are in good condition, still pretty bumpy, but evenly laid. And secondly, there is a nice smooth gutter on the left-hand side of the road, which you will often see the pros using in the smaller races. However, at the big one, the Tour of Flanders, it's blocked off with barriers.
And I'm sticking to the rules this time.
Nice, a lot faster here,
Although
mate.
it looks a bit, oh well. I tell you what, Dan, it's easy to forget how hard this climb is.
Yeah, no, you're totally right. Well, I think what makes the Potterburg even harder is what you have to face before it.
Yeah, and that'll be climb number 4.
Oh yeah, let's head there.
The Buddha Quadrant is like the main dish to the bitter dessert of the Potterburg. And like the Potterburg, it's on the menu at the Tour of Flanders 3 times. What a feast of a race.
It is, yeah. Back when I was racing, this is kind of seen as the start of the racing proper. Now, it's a bit less in your face than the Potterburg, and in some ways it lulls you into a bit of a false sense of security, because to begin with it's very fast. You're on this narrow asphalt road, but at one point it just gradually starts to rise ever so slightly.
And then it hits you hard.
Like a cobble.
Yeah. The cobbles are far less even here, and combined with the 11% gradient, it's a real leg stinger. The short sections of gutter on the side of the road can be alluring, but in reality, it can get you into more trouble than it's worth. The climb is super tough, plain and simple, so you just have to embrace the pain and get on with it.
Once you get to the crossroads at the top, you're over the worst of the gradient, but what comes next can be just as hard. It's almost a kilometre more of cobblestones like this. It's a horrible false flat. Trying to accelerate when you get onto here after what you've already done is just so hard.
The hardest bit for me comes near the top of this climb. You've already got 5 minutes of pain in your legs, and then the road starts to kick up just a little bit and the cobbles get even rougher, shaving off your speed. It's frankly demoralising.
It is nasty, but we've done it now. Starts to go downhill. Overall, this Buddha Quadrant is 2.6 kilometres long, an average gradient of 3.5%. And I have to say, the road that you come out on at the end couldn't be more contrasting to this narrow cobble street that you come out from. It's the N36 to Ronsa, and once you get there, it's quite a relief. Although, I did once crash in a race when I was on the hoods and my hand slipped off as I hit that gutter. In at number 3 it is the Camelberg.
The Camelberg. Now, the Camelberg doesn't actually feature in the Tour of Flanders, but it is essentially the cornerstone of the Tour of Flanders' younger sibling, Ghent-Wevelgem. Now, the climb itself is situated just outside the village of Camel, quite near to the border with France.
Ghent-Wevelgem is often referred to as a sprinter's classic, but don't be fooled, it's far from easy. There are 3 ways up the Camelberg, but we're using the traditional one, which is from the east side. Coming from this side does make it particularly hard because the road rises steadily on the Bergstraat, so you're already tired before you take that famous right turn.
At which point, the gradient and the cobbles really begin to bite. 8% here, but the worst, well, that's yet to come.
Yeah, it most definitely is. In fact, the profile of this climb is a little bit like a, well, sort of half of a half pipe, really. In that it gets,
do you have a quarter pipe?
Yeah, I guess I do. In that it gets steeper and steeper and steeper and steeper and steeper until this final little bit is a whopping 23%, and I can certainly feel that in my legs right now. Anyway, Matt, once we get over this, we can give ourselves a pat on the back because right here is actually the highest point in the Flanders region.
I think it's a high five. Oh yeah.
That's such a good high five, almost came off.
Albeit 156 metres above sea level. Now, before we move on to our next climb down, we should actually talk about what the riders had to face when coming over the top of this one.
Yes, a descent, wasn't it?
Yeah, no ordinary descent, straight over and down there. Equal percentage at over 20% descent down the other side, cobbled all the way.
Yeah, we've actually both raced down this descent in the past, haven't we? And it was at 2007 in Ghent-Wevelgem that I last did it. And it was a monumental crash there in which riders lost teeth and broke bones that prompted the race organisers to reroute it down the shallower tarmac descent around the edge of these trees. And quite a wise decision, wasn't it?
I reckon so. Were you one of the riders that crashed?
No, stayed upright, believe it or not.
I'm quite surprised actually, Dan.
Yeah.
I'm very surprised.
I'm not surprised that you're surprised. I did crash a lot. And the runner-up in our top 5 hardest climbs in Flanders is the Muir. Sometimes referred to as the Muir, or the Muur Muir, or the Muir van Harrodsburg, or in French, the Muir de Grammont. But we shall stick to the Muir.
Yeah, and for decades, it was the centrepiece of the Tour of Flanders. And we're going to call it epic because, let's face it, it saw some absolutely epic battles. Cancellara versus Bonen, Museu versus Van Petegem, Merckx versus Verbeek, and now Stevens versus Lloyd.
Oh, bring it on.
Shall we have a cup of tea first? Cup of
Yeah, and a
coffee?
sarnie.
Yeah.
Because it's truly turned Flandrian weather, isn't it? It's a bit cold for riding.
No, yeah, it's just going here. I'm fine.
The gradient begins to rise as soon as you exit the centre of Harrodsburg. The road is initially wide and it's on very smooth and very neatly paved cobbles, but deceptively steep. And it's a little bit like the Camelberg from that respect, and it's what comes before the rough cobbles that makes that rough part even harder. Now, when you first hit the rougher section of cobbles, the road is still reasonably wide. But then, when you see these steps in front of you, you swing round to the right, and that is where the pain starts. Or at least gets a little bit worse. That section of this climb is barely wider than a car.
Now, the main part of the climb is 750 metres long with an average of 9%, but just here reaches a brutal maximum of 20%. Hence our faces right now.
That's mental. Now, just after that steep section, the gradient does relent, albeit briefly, and then shortly afterwards, just over there, on top of a mound, is that iconic chapel, the Muir. Now, that was only introduced to the race in 1981, and it's one of the most famous parts of our sport cycling. Oh, it bites again.
Come on, Dan, let's go, mate.
Lloyd versus Stevens.
Hold on, mate.
Oh my God, that's really tough. It's time, Matt, for the big reveal. The hardest cobbled climb in Flanders, in our opinion at least, you've probably guessed it, it's the Koppenberg.
Yeah, it's a climb that's so tough that race organisers actually avoided using it for decades because it became so unpopular with the riders. And it's one of those few climbs in the world of cycling that you'll actually see people paid to ride their bikes for a living actually wheeling their bikes up it. I mean, it's hard enough in the dry, but if it's wet or muddy, well, the chances are you won't actually make it up.
It's wet today, Matt.
I know.
There's just no mucking about with the Koppenberg, is there?
Nope.
I mean, they had a big, quite steep hill here, which they needed a road on, so they just chucked down a load of cobblestones in the shortest distance possible. I mean, just bosh! Look at it!
It's a proper Muir, a wall, a muro.
I'm not looking forward to riding it.
I might just watch you.
Here we go then. I'm quite intimidated. Thank God for compact gears.
I've only got a 39.
Oh, you're joking.
I know, I'm gonna lead you out for the Strava. Come on, Dan.
Oh, I've made a mistake here trying to do it in the big ring. I don't think I'm going to get the Strava. I'm almost at walking pace.
So, on the steepest part here, some key stats about the Koppenberg. It's 600 metres long, averages 10.5%, but at its steepest, which is around here, over 20%. But what makes this climb so hard are the cobbles.
Yeah, you quickly realise, don't you, as you're riding around Flanders, how different the cobbles are from one stretch to the next. And when you look at the cobbles that they've used here on the Koppenberg, and believe it or not, this has been fairly recently relaid, they're completely random in terms of their shape and their surface and their size. I mean, there's huge gaps between them as well. Look at these ones down here.
Yeah. I tell you what, if this was in Hack or Bodge of the Week, it'd certainly be a bodge this climb, wouldn't it?
I think it would be a bodge. Yeah.
It'd probably be bodge of the week, actually.
Well, I'm really glad we saved the steepest, hardest climb until last.
Yeah.
Not. I'm absolutely shattered, and we drove between all the climbs as well.
I know.
They are tough, aren't they?
They are absolutely super tough, but I weirdly still think it's great. I've really enjoyed it. And they've even put a bench at the top for me and you, Dan.
Yeah,
How
which we kind of need, don't we? In fact, I think we deserve a beer.
Should we go to the cafe, Udenada?
Yes.
Let's do it.
Don't know if we're going to make it down there. We'll give it a go.
I've got disc brakes. I'll be fine. It's going to take me time.
I don't know about you, Matt, but I could not think of a better and more appropriate way to finish a day like that than in the Ronde van Vlaanderen Museum with its new refurbed bar, drinking a Paramount beer.
It's perfect, isn't it? Look, little cobbles on the bottom of the glass. Yeah, now, for a closer look at one of the climbs we've been up, the Koppenberg, how about clicking just down here, our iconic climb video.
And if you've enjoyed watching us go rather slowly up cobbled climbs here in Flanders, give us a thumbs up just below this video.
Sante again, Dan.